Woo! What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today I'm very excited. Can you tell? This weekend I get to play guitar for one of my favorite bands ever, and I'm pretty hyped about it. But before we can do that, I have to set up a couple guitars first. Let's do it! All right guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here on my channel, my name is Kyle. What I typically do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment and record it with a simple setup. But today, I'm gonna take you guys along for a little ride. Because as I mentioned in the intro of this video, I actually get to play guitar for one of my favorite bands this weekend, and I'm legitimately like super excited about it. Now you're probably thinking that this is some like crazy legendary band, some legendary hardcore thrash band or something. No, it's not. In fact, it's a band that most of you probably will not know or have even heard of. And that band is called Taste the Steel. They were a band that started sometime around 2004 here in Erie, Pennsylvania. They were a massive part of the local scene right around the time that I really started to get into the local punk rock and hardcore scene. And honestly, they're my favorite band to have come out of Erie. They're essentially like a really thrashy, kind of death metal inspired hardcore band with some beatdowns. They were kind of an amalgamation of what was popular in the underground at the time. They were also really solid musicians. Now, nothing in the band is super technical or crazy or anything like that, but everything that they played was executed super well, and it just led to the overall energy, not only in the really raw recordings and stuff, but also the live show. Their live shows are insane. If you guys go online and search Taste the Steel, you'll find a lot of videos of the band playing that have tens of thousands of views. And if you really watch those shows, watch those videos, you can see that the audience is just madness. But anyways, I'm getting way off topic. So I saw that Taste of Steel was listed on a flyer with the band Fury of Five. If you're into hardcore from the late 90s, early 2000s at all, I'm sure you know who Fury of Five is. Legendary New Jersey hardcore band. So they're playing in Cleveland. Taste of Steel was listed on there, but it was listed as Taste the Steel Jam. So I'm friends with Josh, the singer, and I messaged him and I'm like, hey, who's playing for you guys? Because the last 10 years or so, the band has been basically completely inactive. The only times that they've played any shows were basically for favors for friends to get to draw people, because Taste of Steel has a huge regional draw. Anytime they play a show, it brings out a lot of people. They were never like a massive band in their time when they were an active band, but they always had a solid following and people always traveled to see them, and that has just kind of grown with time. So anyways, Josh told me that it was basically the standard lineup and they have a filling guitarist, and I'm like, dude, I would love to play guitar for this band if there's ever an opportunity, because I love the music. I've always wanted to play these riffs live. I've been dying to play heavy music because Human Animal and Bushido Code are both awesome, but neither of those bands are particularly like heavy, if you know what I mean. So Josh said, hey, if you think you can learn the songs in a week, let's do it. And so here we are. It's 2 days before the show. I know the songs, I feel comfortable with them. I'm really excited to play this show, and I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride. But one of the issues is I actually don't have a guitar that's set up for the tuning of this band, which is drop B. I've been learning and playing all these songs on a 7-string that I tuned up a step. So I don't even have a guitar that's set up in drop B, but luckily I know how to work on my own guitars, and I've got the help of some friends in order to get these guitars ready to go. So the first guitar, this is gonna be the main guitar that I use. This is a Gibson Les Paul Studio Faded, and I love these guitars because they're an excellent bang for the buck. They are very resonant. They are tone machines in my opinion, but the pickups that are in this guitar are burst buckers, and burst buckers are not exactly prime pickups for super heavy drop tuned riffing. And despite what Glenn Fricker says in every video, pickups do matter. So I'm gonna pull these pickups out. I've got a set of pickups from my friend Joe Balaguer over at Balaguer Guitars. He sent me a special set of pickups that he believes are gonna be really good, really articulate and clear for down tuning. Now, I've got a few different Balaguer guitars loaded with their pickups, and they sound super clear, so I totally trust his word, and I've really liked all the Balaguer guitars that I've tried with their stock pickups in them. So I'm gonna install those pickups in this guitar. I'm going to put a black Tone Pros locking bridge and tailpiece, and we are going to put some black Graphtec ratio tuners on this thing. That way we can get the guitar super dialed in, and to ensure, since this is a Gibson, to ensure a little bit more tuning stability, I've also got a Graphtec Tusk nut here that we're gonna install on this guitar. And then we are gonna string it up with these D'Addario coated 11 to 56 strings here because I'm gonna have to practice on this guitar and play it live, and I don't want the strings going dead in that time. And on top of all that, these Gibson guitars kind of tend to come with crappy electronics in them. This is a 2013 model, so this probably has the circuit board internals, and that, to me, I just don't like that because I can't change out those volume pots for 500K like I like to do on Gibson. So I've also got this Emerson wiring harness with 500K pots. We're gonna install this as well. That way I'm not sending all my high frequencies to ground because we need those high frequencies for a lower tuning. And this is where I tell you that my friends at Sweetwater provided the rest of the items that are not those Badlander pickups. This video is sponsored by Sweetwater, and not only do they provide stuff that I need to get this guitar and the other guitar set up for drop B and ready to rip, but they were also kind enough to supply some new bass strings and some drumsticks for the other members of the band because they have actually not played this stuff live in years. They have not been actively in bands in years, and this was kind of a last minute addition for them, so they were not prepared. So they needed drumsticks, they needed bass strings, and I was able to get Sweetwater to help out and send those things for the band as well. So if you guys need any accessories, if you guys need to set up a guitar for drop B, you want to pick up any of the items that you see in this video, make sure to hit up Sweetwater for all your accessory needs. It's always an easy recommend for me when it comes to Sweetwater because in my opinion, they're the best in the business at what they do. And knowing that I can count on them to get me the stuff I need in a hurry when I need it is super important to me. So if you guys want to pick up anything you see in this video, or if you just need any accessories, or you want to buy a whole new rig, whatever it is, make sure to hit that affiliate link from Sweetwater below because that helps the channel as you are helping yourself, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, so this guitar is getting the major overhaul. I do need a backup guitar though. So for this guitar, this is my old faded brown. You guys have seen this in a bunch of older videos when I first started the channel actually. This is one of my favorite guitars, but as you can see, no neck pickup. It's kind of neglected. It needs a good cleanup, and you can't do a live show without a solid backup guitar. So Sweetwater was kind enough to provide me another set of pickups for this thing because I need new pickups in here. This one is extremely microphonic at the moment, and they provided a set of the Seymour Duncan Jupiter pickups. You guys have been asking me to check those out for a while, so we'll probably use those in some upcoming videos, but I knew that those were gonna be good for down tuning, so that is what is going to go in this guitar. And then I have a spare set of ratio tuners that are gonna go on this guitar, and I had Sweetwater send me another Graphtec Tusk XL nut for this thing because that is where pretty much all of your tuning stability lies, and Graphtec, just for me, has always been super reliable. So that's what we're gonna do to these guitars. I am in a hurry to do this though. I've also got to pick out and test a rig, so we're gonna do all that stuff here in this video before I take you guys along for the ride for the show. So that means I don't have a lot of time. Let's get to it. All right guys, so we have our guitars fully upgraded at this point. Unfortunately, time was of the essence, so please forgive me that there will not be footage of me actually upgrading the guitars, but I can honestly say I'm rather impressed with myself because I got everything swapped out on these guitars in record time. I got them set up, I got them intonated, and I'm super happy with how both of these guitars came out, and it's going to be no issue to play these tonight. Today is the day of the show. I just got done picking my rig and setting up my pedal board, shooting this video, and then I'm heading out to Cleveland to play the set. So real quickly, let's go over the live rig that I settled on. I will give you some sound samples. We'll take a look at my pedal board, which I think you guys will find really, really cool. I did some cool stuff with the pedal board. See how the guitars and the rig sound together. Then we'll get the hell out of here. All right, so for my rig, I chose, as you can see, the Mesa Badlander 100. This is the Badlander 100 with the legendary tones Mr. Scary mod installed. And if you guys have not heard that yet, I'm really excited for you to hear it. It turns the Badlander 100 into an absolute monster. But yeah, and as for the cab, we have the Engel XXL 412 Pro. This is the one that Engel sent me a couple of months back, and it sounds massive, but even though it is an oversized cab, it is also an incredibly tight cab. And seeing as how we're turning down to drop B, tuning down to drop B, I wanted something that sounded big to fill out the sound, but I also wanted something that was going to be tight and percussive for when we are bringing those palm mutes, because after all, when you're playing live, you definitely want a percussive low end if you're playing metal and hardcore for those heavier syncopated parts with the kick drum and with the bass. Everything's punching together. It just provides so much more energy, and that's what I personally am all about in my live tones. So this combination will absolutely get it done. So moving down here to my pedal board. As you can see, we've got a larger pedal board, which I don't typically use larger pedal boards because I'm generally a simple kind of man. But Mono actually sent me one of their new stealth boards and power supplies, and kind of wanted an excuse to just build a bigger, cooler board. You guys are gonna be seeing this board and power supply in a different upcoming video. But man, it's super easy to build on this thing. Super clean sounding power supply with lots of routing options. And this all fits in the Mono Stealth bag effortlessly. And what I decided to do with my rig is kind of build a top line here for the signal that is going into the Badlander. But I also built myself a backup rig on this lower row here. This is literally an entire amp rig right here. So we've got the Fortunatus distortion pedal as our preamp. We've got a This Heavy Earth Effects Titan, which is very similar to the actual PDEQ by Guptech that we checked out last year on the channel, but the frequencies have been altered a little bit, and we've got some super sick artwork. So if your amp is missing a resonance and a presence control, pick up one of these bad boys because they are awesome. Over here, we've got the Deadweld Golem gate. And as you can see, I have two of these. So technically this first one is just gating after my overdrive going into the amplifier. And this one will actually be gating the Fortunatus distortion pedal. Now, these are my favorite gates at any price point on the market. These things are incredible, especially when you use them for cable method, but I didn't want to mess around with hooking these up for cable method and potentially fudge the wiring before going to a big show. So I just hooked them up the simple way. And then finally, all this is going into the Blackstar Amped 1. But what I think is really cool about the way that I set this up is we have our whole row going across here, including the Clearton Grindstein pedal that my friend Christian Cola gave to me while at 42 Gear Street this year. I will show you why that's on this board. But everything is going into this MXR 10-band EQ. The MXR 10-band EQ has two outputs on it. So you can do a single in, and you can technically split your output in two. So my output 1 is going to the amplifier, but for my backup rig, output 2 is going directly into that Natas pedal, and then through the rest of the signal chain for the second amp here. So this whole chain is technically going through itself here, no matter which amplifier I am going into. So if something happens to my Badlander, it's not working, or something happens mid-set, the only thing that I have to do is swap the speaker cable from the Badlander 100 into the speaker out of the Amped 1, and that's it. I'm ready to go. My entire backup amplifier and rig is right here on the bottom of this Mono Stealth pedal board, and I just think that's awesome because that saves me from breaking my back having to carry an extra amp head. But I also have the MXR 10-band EQ on here to give a little bit of juice to like certain breakdowns and stuff, just to thicken up the palm mutes if I'm not using the Grindstein, which is like an HM2 inspired pedal, to just kind of create some noise and some chaos when I need it. And then of course we've got the Peterson Strobo Stomp and the Licklarum Audio King in Yellow. Is pretty much my favorite overdrive at this point. I absolutely love that pedal, and it just seems to work great with everything. So let's get into a couple of sound samples. We're gonna start off with the Badlander 100, and I'm going to start off with the black Les Paul here. This thing came out great. I think it looks even better than it did in my head with everything all blacked out. We've got those Schaller strap locks. We've got the blacked out Graphtec ratio tuners, the blacked out Tone Pros, a Tunematic bridge, and then these are the bow buckers from Balaguer guitars, and they sound awesome in here, especially with that Emerson wiring harness that actually opened up the high end of the guitar quite a bit by adding those 500K pots in the volume position like it usually does with Gibsons. And this thing is playing great, it's staying in tune great, and I'm super happy I chose to upgrade this guitar. So let's go ahead, kick on this amplifier. We are gonna be on the Crush channel. We've got the gain at noon. If you own a Badlander or have played on the Crush channel of the Badlander before, you will know that usually you have to dime this and add an overdrive for it to get anywhere near saturated. That Legendary Tones mod definitely kicks the gain up to an insane level, so here we go. Dude, sounds nasty. I picked this rig for a reason, and I think you guys can tell why. It sounds so damn good. It sounds super mean. It's percussive. It's thick. It's basically giving me everything I need. These Badlander Bowbucker pickups, these are just a really well-balanced pickup. They growl in the low mids. They have good clarity, good chunk to them without being muddy. I am more than satisfied with what we got out of these pickups. Huge shout to Joe Badlander, my homie, for sending these out and completing this guitar. This thing looks absolutely nasty. Super happy with it. Let's check out the other one. All right, guys, so here is the faded brown Gibson Les Paul Studio. As you can see, the Duncan Jupiter pickups in here. These may be my go-to for lower tunings from here on out because these things are very bright, very tight, super articulate. I really like the voicing when you're tuning down that low. They sound exactly like I personally would want a pickup to sound when tuned low. There's no mud, very vocal in that upper mid range. It just sounds really gnarly. And of course, we went ahead, added those Schaller strap locks to this bad boy as well. And I ended up throwing those Graphtec tuners on here. Graphtec nut. I've been testing them out for the last hour or so, really hammering on the strings, making sure everything is good to go before I leave. When it comes to tuning stability, the Graphtec nut and the Graphtec ratio tuners are second to none in my opinion, and that's why I keep choosing those on every project I do. All right, so these pickups sound awesome. One thing I will note, and you guys I'm sure heard it though, very microphonic. I don't know if these aren't potted or something. I'm not sure how the design is, but they do sound great. So super happy with how these are playing, super happy with how these are staying in tune. I'm gonna switch over to the other guitar. I'm gonna show you the Pedalboard Rig, one riff on that, and then we're gonna get out of here. So all I have to do, flip that in standby, take my cable here. This is my speaker cable, plug it into the Black Star, turn on the Black Star, and we're pretty much ready to roll. All right, dude, the Pedalboard Rig sounds incredible. I would have no reservations using that thing, but this all turned out so good. I'm so happy. I'm ready to rip this show, and it's finally time.
Let's pit.
guys, it is the next morning. The show went off last night, and dude, it literally could not have gone any better. There was an excellent turnout. The band absolutely killed it. Nobody had gear malfunction issues or anything like that. The crowd actually went off for us more than any of the other bands. Like, some dudes in that crowd had been waiting years to see Taste of Steel. Some of them had never seen them before, and that was like their first time. And I actually had a couple people come up to me and tell me that that was the best Taste of Steel set that they had ever heard. Like, as far as basically the togetherness, the tightness of the band, and the sound quality of everything that was going on. So to hear that from people who have seen the band numerous times, who kind of came up with me or even came up earlier than me, and have them tell me that, meant the world. Like, I'm super glad I could do the band justice. Man, it was just such an awesome night. So many old friends were there, people I haven't seen in years, met some new great people. In fact, the dudes from Fury of 5 are fans of my channel, which absolutely insane to me. Like, they came up to me and personally like said what's up, and I just thought it was super cool for some real deal OGs from the hardcore scene to actually acknowledge what I do and to, you know, show some respect for it. Like, blows my mind, man. Means more than they will ever know to me. What a night. I feel so good right now. I feel so recharged. I've been going through a lot of dumb stuff lately, and that just literally lifted me up so much. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down below in the comments. Would you guys like to see more vlog type stuff like this? I guess this isn't really a vlog, but if you would like to see more vlog stuff, I kind of suck at it, but if you guys want to see it, let me know down there and I'll do my best to make it happen. Another massive shout out to Joe Badlander and Sweetwater for helping me out with this whole project. Not only did they provide stuff, but they got it to me like right away, and I'm super grateful to have the support of the people that I do. If you guys are looking for any new gear, of course, hit that Sweetwater affiliate link down below in the description of this video, and I will have all the parts and stuff that I used in this video linked as well if you want to check those out and pick any of those up. And yeah, man, I'm going to go start sorting out this footage so I can get this video up. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.